Okay, let's move along to lesson number 8. The FAA takes the rules very seriously and does expect you to understand the rules well to teach them. More than one student learned the flying part very well, but busted his check ride only because he was unable to demonstrate to the examiner the finer points of the FARs. You'll learn to teach the regulations pertaining to your pilot's license and also those covering the airplane. Okay, let's get started.
Hi, this is Roger Stenbach again. This is Lesson 8, Regulations. The FAA not only wants you to impart aeronautical knowledge to your students, but you must also be knowledgeable as to what the various requirements are, for example, for your student pilot qualifications, records you need to keep, and an overview of the pertinent FARs. Now, this is a fairly long lesson, which focuses on specific regulations which need to be presented here because they'll be on the FAA knowledge test. Most of the material has been taken directly from the regulations, and it can be a little bit dry, but hang in there. Okay, now in this lesson we're going to cover the following topics. First one is going to be the definitions. Second, we'll cover accident reports. Then we'll cover the documents you have to understand. Then your medical certificates, followed by pilot certification and the records that you need to keep, the various endorsements, pilot tests, pre-solo requirements, recency of experience, emergency deviations, pre-flight planning, the use of seatbelts, followed by alcohol and drugs. And then they want you to know something about parachutes, the safety pilot issues, fuel reserves, the transponder, minimum equipment list, supplemental oxygen, and the last thing we'll cover will be the lighting situation. Okay, as you can see, this is a fairly long list, and it will take us more than an hour to cover this lesson. However, flight instructors are looked upon as resources of aviation information, be it aeronautical or regulatory. But before we start, we need to point out some limitations of the coverage of these regulations. We'll cover only what you need to know for the knowledge test. The regulations are only covered in summarized form, and complete regulations can be found on the internet. Here's an example of a FAA web page that shows the regulations. Okay. Definitions and abbreviations. Now, the following definitions are included on the FAA knowledge exam. For example, a crew member is a person assigned to duty in the aircraft during flight. This includes pilots, flight engineers, navigators, flight attendants, or anyone else assigned to duty in the airplane. And then we have a thing called operational control with respect to a flight, which means that the exercise of authority over the initiation, conducting, or termination of a flight. Now, a stopway is an area designated for use in deceleration on an aborted takeoff. It cannot be used as part of a takeoff distance, but it can be considered as part of an accelerate stop distance. And then finally we have V2, which turns out to be safety takeoff safety speed. It ensures the airplane can maintain an acceptable climb gradient with the critical engine inoperative.